and welcome back, or welcome to the Sisters channel. If you've not been here before, this is a new feature. This is the first sort of episode I've done it, where I've done little specials on fanzines. Of course I have on certainly King of the Kippax, but this is fanzine memories. We're going to look back at other fanzines as well. Obviously, we're going to kick off with King of the Kippax because that's the sort of lasting one we've got, isn't it? And of course, I'm a big supporter of that as well. So this is Fanzine Memories. Please, hope you enjoy this. If you press that like button and press the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and please tell your City supporting friends if you can. That'll be absolutely brilliant. Yeah, one of my sort of original ideas, when I started doing these vlogs, seems a long time ago now, it wasn't that long ago, watch some of my old ones, it's a little bit different to what I do now, presentation-wise, etc. Am I any better? Probably not, I don't know. But yeah, one of the original things I did was basically do moments in time. It made just a snapshot, if you like, of all things City, both on and off the pitch. And of course, try to add a fan's perspective where I could, obviously where I had an input to it, etc., and taking information from fanzines and stuff like that. So obviously that was the original idea when I started doing these vlogs and using scrapbooks and that sort of thing. So this is like a moments in time, if you like, where obviously in the past we might take a City magazine, we might take a book, might take a brochure, might take anything and sort of at that point in time and just look at what's going on around City. But obviously a big part of the fan experience, of course, certainly from the late 80s, one way we felt involved was through the fanzine. Yeah, there's only so much we could do. We didn't have Twitter and all these things, so we had to communicate through other methods. And of course, the fanzine gives us that involvement, if you like. And today this feature takes a look at moments in time through the eyes, perhaps, of the fans in these publications. So yeah, as I said, so there's only one zine that's still going in print at this point in time. Obviously, I think there's one that actually does an online one as well. But of course, King of the Kippax is in its 34th year as I'm recording this in May 2022. So I'm going to take a moments in time look, a little snapshot, if you like, at King of the Kippax. And of course, I'll be doing other fanzines, but King of the Kippax will obviously feature on a regular basis in this. If people like it, it's one of those things. If people don't like watching it, then I'm willing to change or do things. Obviously, if it's not up to what people want to watch, I do sort of do things and try things, and that's part and parcel of what I call like my little magazine features, if you like. Right, so today I'm going to check out issue 24. Yes, I think we're up to 287, is it now? Something like that. So issue 24, the summer of 92. Was it the summer of love? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. It was a bumper end of season special costing a princely pound, just £1 for 40 pages. And as ever at the time, an interesting, if unfulfilling season for City, which seems to be the path of the course. So let's have a little fan's eye view with the thoughts of the fans and what was going through everyone's mind, and obviously in the King of the Kippax with the regular contributors, etc. And of course, thoughts of Europe were there as well. Yeah, it's certainly been for most of the season leading up to this last few games. We've certainly had a big chance of getting into Europe. It was all to fall flat, of course. And due to constraints of timing and selling at the ground, which is what this magazine did in a few outlets as well, the final edition of the season takes us this is the final edition of the 91-92 season, only takes us as far as games just after a hard 1-1 draw at the Swamp, which was my lads' very first Manchester derby. And of course, we'd actually beaten Leeds, the other guys who we wanted to we were relying on to nick the title off United. We'd actually beaten Leeds, of course, 4-0 previous to that as well. So in typical City, of course, doing things like that. Subs for King of the Kippax, 5 issues for £6.50. That's not bad. You could pay by cheque. Yes, remember them. I think I got a chequebook still somewhere. Yeah, you could remember. Some of you younger guys, if you're watching this, you probably don't know what a cheque is. So anyway, let's have a look at the magazine. Let's have a look at the fanzine, right? Obviously, in the court of the Kippax King, as you'd expect, kicks the thing off. And obviously, it's Dave Wallace himself. I'm sure Sue had an input as well. And he's, of course, the creator, editor-in-chief, coffee maker, everything. I mean, when I used to edit a computer magazine back in the similar time, back in the mid-80s, so we do everything. I employed people and stuff like that, but we pretty much put our hands to everything. I'm sure Dave and Sue do that, and I've done that all these years as well. It was the 7th issue put out that year, which was quite impressive. And there was just 2 weeks left of the season when I think this was sort of hitting the streets. Since King of the Kippax 23, 7 games and only 1 win, which was that Leeds one that I just mentioned recently. He notes, of course, in these what is it called, in the court of the Kippax King, he notes that once Sam Ellis, he was actually a City fan as a kid, wasn't he, Sam Ellis? Gets a bit of stick in this issue, in all fairness, and he bemoans, obviously Dave bemoans, it's now 16 years since our last trophy. Unbelievable. What's going to change it, he asks. Well, if David known what we know now, 19, another 19 years on top of that, and the Sheik would have to come in and change it. He may have lost the will to put this together. Well, probably not, because we were made of stern stuff, us City fans, weren't we? All-seater stages seemed to be on the way, of course. The Kippax was in its last throes at that stage. And we were none the wiser, said Dave, about something called the Super League. Yep, it's an all-new ball game. That was on the way as well, wasn't it? Dave bemoans the Platt Lane development. Yeah, very disappointing, very rubbish. Commenting his comments where it doesn't look big enough. It certainly didn't. I think we were all frustrated at the sheer size of the new Platt Lane. It was an absolute waste of time. And he reflects on another disappointing season. And he said, Dosh needs spending and wisely, and wished everyone a great summer, of course. And that's all we could hope for. And a new season, new hopes. Then we get a 76 and all that, a piece by Phil Gallier, who looks at trophies won and lost since 1976 by all clubs. Yeah, it's how significant 1976 was to us City fans of that ilk up to 2011, of course. But, it always went back to 1976. Everything we did went back to 1976. And Phil Gallier reflects on the City near misses. Of course, the league in '77 when we just were nipped to it by Liverpool. We were top briefly, of course, in the league over certain years, 81, 82, 1991. We're even top very briefly, and of course, runners-up in the FA Cup in 81. Semi-finalists in the League Cup in 81 were robbed by Liverpool, of course, and the referee. Of course, the 86 full members cup finalists. So that was borderline whether that should get into this sort of trophy thing. And Phil comments, 8 managers, 7 million spent, and there's a little table, etc. there. 2 relegations and still 1 chairman, unfortunately, later. We still await the open top bus parade through Moss Side. Well, that was never going to happen, was it? Certainly not through Moss Side. And he finishes his piece with a table. Yeah, interesting table. What all the current First Division clubs had done since 1976. This is part 1 of this, by the way. I've had to split it to 2 because it's quite a lot to get in. Well, at least we were joint top on transfer spend, weren't we? That was the good thing with Liverpool and United, so that was good. Of course, it was still Liverpool who were all conquering, but plenty of trophies spread around United, Forest, Arsenal, Everton at that time. That table shows it. And even Spurs helped by 3 FA Cups. I mean, Forest obviously were dominant in the League Cup, stuff like this. But at least, Phil says, we're on a par with footballing giants, Notts County, Coventry, and both the Sheffield clubs. Yeah, but yes, Phil was pretty right, wasn't he? Poor considering our spend. So that was his little column. There's something very similar. It might be in part 2 on the same sort of basis as well to come later on. How was it for you? Of course, still looks back on games as we do now, looks back at the old games. Warren takes us through a QPR 4 City 0 on the 7th of March. And this he considered, and I think many consider this to be City's worst display of the season. It did have stiff competition that year, though. He also talks City 0, Southampton 1, another dreadful game on the 15th of March, a game that was on TV. We didn't get many fans that day. We probably lost a few. Did we ever win in those days on TV? I think it was very debatable if we did. I think obviously that came later. And Warren ends his piece on that one with a yawn at that game, the City 0, Saints 1. And Warren then, I have no surname, my apologies. Then Warren was on to Forest 2, City 0 on the 21st of March. City in 4th spot for this. So, I mean, that's where we were, weren't it? I mean, it's unusual. We were disappointed, but we're actually up there. We're up there for most of this season, but it was still disappointing. And Warren comments, we didn't play that badly at Forest when we got beat 2-0. and that's possibly as good as it got. Richard, a new guy, we don't know a surname, Richard chats City 0, Chelsea 0 on 28th of March, commenting that Reed's football shows as much imagination as a Jilly Cooper novel or a John Major speech. He did mention the devil incarnate effect of assistant. Again, Sam Ellis, he gets a little bit of stick in this issue. It was Vonk's full debut, of course, that game. And Richard classed it as competent. There you go, Mr. Vonk, you had a competent debut. About a typical end-of-season feel to the game, although there's a few games to go at that stage. There's no name on the review of the City 4 Leeds 0. I do remember that game. Fantastic game. And we wouldn't mind losing, but yes, we were all there singing We Want 5 by the end, and that's how it should be. And United, you are next, because that was our next trip, as I said, to Old Trafford with my lad. Again, no reviewer name on United 1, City 1. My lad's first competitive derby. Been to a couple of testimonials there. The reviewer noted City fans dotted around the ground and many in the Stretford End paddock. Yeah, I was in there myself with my lad. At least a couple of hundred City fans who were singing all through the match. Great atmosphere, and obviously a big police presence. There's certainly no trouble. A few dirty looks, a few bit of bad language between us and the Stretford End and the City United fans in the Stretford paddock. But yeah, it was an interesting night. And of course, from 1-0 down to 10 men, a Curly penalty. So first, my lad had seen Curly score a penalty. As good as a win, really. A 1-1 draw when you're down to 10 men. Neil Poynton got sent off, of course. Colin T. Nichols, puts together a skit on City entitled Vonk the Enforcer. Again, a certain Sam Ellis. Yes, he seems to be the theme of this magazine, this issue. Is the centre of attention, and not in a good way in that, but a little bit of a skit there, which was quite funny. In another 10 Things That Will Never Happen feature, there you go. This is a nice little feature. Again, I've no name on this one. The third thing of this 10 was City get a penalty and everyone's confident they will score it. Well, after I'm doing this, obviously I don't know when you're watching it or when it goes out, but I'm literally doing this after Mahrez has missed a penalty against West Ham to give us victory in the West Ham, the penultimate game of the 22 season. So you know what happened when you're watching this, guys, because obviously it will be recorded and stored. But still goes for now, doesn't it, on the penalty front? The 10th thing that will never happen, City fans travelling away specifically asked for a seat on a coach with Helen. There you go. Yeah, I did have the joy of being on Helen's coach on a few occasions. Very, very scary woman. Warren Pilkington brings us a snazzy title, The Debaser's Guide to the Wonder of Indie Stuff, which could apply to City. There you go. No messing about with that one. And it's a look at song words with relevance to being a City supporter. Some interesting lyrics included these little nuggets, plus other things as well. Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division. When routine bites hard and ambitions are low, for instance, no European spot. Resentment rides high. Yep, Ellis again. But emotions won't grow. Showing how us Blues would never incite, I hope, no violence. So, yeah, I think we did incite to violence occasionally, unfortunately. Disappointed by Morrissey. About the lyrics on that one. To say the least, truly disappointed. Truly, truly, truly. And he commented, that's how all of us feel after a defeat or poor display, even till this day. Big Head by the Darling Buds. You've got a great big head, you need your ego fed. And apparently this sums up all Rags fans. It probably now, further down the line, sums up all Liverpool fans as well, and a few others I could mention. And still getting stick. Caricature by Jesus Jones, or Jesus Jones. I don't know. I'm so used to saying Jesus now. You're ugly, you're cruel, you act like a fool. And he said we return there to Sam Ellis. I said he got a bit of a mention in this one, didn't I? Return of the Blue Vicar features, yes, Steve Parish, remembering pre-seasons and all, so he could say, I was there, and demonstrating a loyalty to someone or something beyond ourselves, getting very, very religious, as you'd expect. Well, what do you expect from a Blue Vicar? The European campaign is by Benito Mussolini, obviously an avatar, a fake name, and reflects on the season both City and elsewhere. He chats about his visits to QPR and called it a characterless heap. A bit mean, but probably right. Sheffield Wednesday Hillsborough for a game versus Arsenal, where he was sat with Neanderthal Wednesday fans. well, Sheffield, isn't it? Although I've never been to Hillsborough, guys, so I don't know. Though he admitted generally he found Wednesday and their fans okay, just wrong place, wrong time. Well, we've all been there, haven't we? A trip to AZ67 Alkmaar as well, where the players were showered with Heineken cans, thankfully emptied of their contents first. I mean, I wouldn't put that past fans these days. Living in the Netherlands, this guy, Mr Mussolini, his first trip to Main Road came versus Arsenal on the 28th of December. Obviously, in this season, a nice 1-0 win and an enjoyable 90 minutes on the Kippax. Wasn't it always? Probably not. A feature on M.E.N, a book by Steve McMahon. I've not got this in the book club, but I don't think there's much on City on it because it was done before he joined City. And it says here before he joined City. As far as refs, only about 5 he could respect. Lucky to get 5 these days. Be lucky to find these now. He talks about Peter Reid and his less than simple leaving of Everton in excerpts from the book. So that's M.E.N. The early 50s, that looks at programmes, books and memorabilia, yes, from the early 50s. Sadly, there were no books or memorabilia of note to mention, so it's just programmes. But there's some great info on programmes and a page of ads and images taken, including favourites like Mr Royston Clark was on that as well. Yeah, great name, Royston, isn't it? All right, Roy's a bit easier on the tongue, but there you go. And if you thought copyright was the newest problem, a warning to fans that unofficial programmes had been on sale outside the ground, and spectators are advised the only official programme is the blue and white. Tuppence for the first team games and a penny for the reserve games. So Tuppence is 1 UP, a penny is half a p. We don't have them anymore, do we? 4 pages in the King of the Kippax have all 23 back issues available at that time. With a great picture of the covers on it, so that's useful for a future reference, and a quick guide as to what's inside as well. So that was great from Dave and Sue. And there you go. We're about halfway through the magazine. We're on 17 minutes now. That's long enough, isn't it? So please join me for part 2. We're going to have a look at what else is in this King of the Kippax issue, this bumper issue. And it includes one of my favourites, Jed Sounds Off, which even to this day is still one of my favourites. An interview, of course, with of Anne and Robbie Brightwell. Yeah, the Brightwells' mum and dad. And we have It's a Fix, Fanzine Frustration, and much, much more. So please join me for part 2 of this look at King of the Kippax. Back in there it is up on the wall, 1992. Happy days. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please, till we meet again, I only ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.